Um, huh. Is my camera... Okay. I was just checking to see if my mic was on. I'm making a brief video to address the definition of a term. Existential. Um, so... A lot of people use that word, and not a lot of people know what that word means. Like, when I say that, I mean, people use the term existential crisis, right? And they're like, oh, I had an existential crisis because, like, I fucking, I don't know, broke up with my boyfriend or whatever. And that's not an existential crisis. You're just sad. An existential crisis, I guess I should start with the definition, is when there's some unanswered question about, like, the meaning of life or your value system, and it calls into question basically the validity of any of your actions. So say you believed in God, and God was the reason for why you did things, and you were like, I I don't murder people because God told me not to. And then one day, your belief in God is called into question for some reason. That would be an existential crisis, because you'd be questioning the validity of your whole, like, system of values and actions and stuff up to that point, and really just beyond that point. And, like, after that point, what do you do? Because there's no objective standard of right or wrong. There's no reason why things that feel good are good in some abstract sense. There's no reason why things that feel bad are bad in some abstract sense. There's no reason to be moral. Stuff like that. And so that's what an existential crisis is. And people will use that term for just about anything. Like, people will call something like existential horror when what they really mean is just regular horror. Like, even kinds of horror where I think especially people apply it to kinds of horror that they can't put their finger on, like suburban living. People will often call a kind of existential horror, where really it's just poor taste and, like, shitty housing developments that look really ugly and are really boring. I guess to some degree that can kind of sap the meaning or color out of your life, but really that's not how you should be using that term. And if you really want to understand it, I would read The Myth of Sisyphus by Camus, because he has a good definition of kind of like an existential crisis, an example of one, in the beginning when he describes the absurd man. So, yeah, read that. But basically, all I wanted to make this video to say was that the real existential horror is not having these nuts in your mouth.